13 quarterbacks were selected in the most recent NFL draft, including the number one pick, Cam Ward from the University of Miami, going to the Tennessee Titans and ending up in the 7th round with Texas QB Quinn Ewers going to the Miami Dolphins. In today's show, I'm going to answer 3 questions. Number 1, which one of those 13 quarterbacks went to the most interesting situation? Which quarterback went to the best situation? And which QB went to the worst situation? This is QB Unfiltered, my take. 3 questions.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
Okay, before we get into this show today, please like and subscribe to the channel QB Unfiltered. I greatly appreciate the support. All right, now last year I did this same show when 6 quarterbacks were taken in the first round of the 2024 draft. Last year, I said the most interesting situation was going to be Jaden Daniels going to the Washington Commanders because Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, was the very best quarterback in the draft last year. And what made it so interesting was he was going to play for Cliff Kingsbury, who is a renowned QB guy, QB-friendly offensive coordinator. And I think that played out pretty good for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders this year. Okay, moving on to what I thought was the best situation last year. That was Michael Penix Jr. going to the Atlanta Falcons. The reason for that was he wasn't going to be thrown to the wolves right off the bat. He had a veteran sitting in front of him, Kirk Cousins, who's a really good guy to learn from. And Penix Jr. was going to be able to ease into the job and all the differences between college football and the NFL. And then the absolute worst spot for any of the quarterbacks last year, and this one was pretty easy, was Drake May going to the New England Patriots. I just felt that, their hiring of Gerard Mayo was going to be an absolute train wreck, and the staff that he hired was not going to help the situation out either. And so I think that pretty much played out the way I thought it was going to go. Okay, so let's jump in with this year's 3 questions. Okay, I think that the most interesting situation for any of the 13 quarterbacks drafted this year is going to be Cam Ward with the Tennessee Titans. Now, I'm sure some of you out there are going, well, Coach, what about Cleveland's situation? And yeah, I'm going to talk about Cleveland here in a little bit. But in my mind, it's the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward, and let me explain. He's going to be the dude from Jump Street, okay? From the first practice, the first time he steps on the practice field, he is going to be their guy. Now, throughout the history of the NFL, there have been numerous quarterbacks that have had their careers derailed or even destroyed because they were thrown into the mix before they were ready and they couldn't handle it upstairs. Most of these dudes physically can play the game. It's the guys mentally upstairs that get tossed to the wolves, can't handle failure, adversity, can't handle media scrutiny, can't handle the pressure of being the guy as a rookie. And it destroys a lot of these guys. And that's just the way it is. It's not a great situation for any rookie quarterback who is tossed into that environment where they are expected to be the savior and the guy from day one. But I think Cam Ward can handle it. Okay. I covered all of his games this year for the U, and I talked about this every week. Mentally, this dude is up here, right? Not only the X's and O's stuff, the one thing that I said a lot this past season was for Cam Ward's entire college career, he played for 3 teams: Incarnate Word, Washington State, and Miami. All 3 of those teams ran the air raid. So he's been an air raid quarterback his entire college career. Air raid quarterbacks are well versed in reading coverage, dissecting defenses, getting the ball out of their hand on time, understanding space, leverage, grass, matchups, all the stuff that comes into play in the passing game that not every quarterback has when he comes into the NFL. Cam Ward does. But the mental part of it is what I think separates him. He is so mature upstairs. And he's, I believe, able to handle what's going to be thrown at him. The face of the franchise, all that extra heat, all that extra pressure, all that extra scrutiny that eats up these young QBs when they're not mentally ready for it. I think Cam Ward can handle it. Knowing that he's playing for a team that drafted number one for a reason, because they didn't have a very good season last year, right? So he's not going to have all of the weapons surrounding him that hopefully they'll have in place for him in a year or two. But going in this year with what Tennessee has, I think that it's just going to be really interesting to me to see how he shines, which I think he will do. And I think he'll make the biggest splash of any of the quarterbacks, right? The other thing that I like about Cam Ward's situation with Tennessee is the coaching staff that he's playing for on the offensive side of the ball, particularly offensive line coach Bill Callahan. You know, Callahan, you can say what you want about his head coaching record. He's a good offensive line coach. He understands protections. He's a great teacher and a great technician. He's going to keep Cam Ward on his feet protection-wise, and that's crucial for any quarterback. Okay, I've got an honorable mention for the most interesting situation, and that is the New York Giants quarterback room. I mean, you've got first-round draft choice Jackson Dart going in there with two veterans, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So you've got Wilson, who's a diva. You've got Winston, who's kind of out there. And you got Dart, who might be a combination of both of those guys. And those three dudes are going to be in the same QB room. That's going to be an interesting deal. Okay, let's move on to the second question. Best situation for any of the quarterbacks drafted. That goes to Jackson Dart with the New York Giants. And for this reason solely, he is going into a organization where he is not going to be the guy from the get-go. He's going in with two veteran quarterbacks on that roster in Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, and it's going to afford Dart the same luxury as Michael Penix Jr. last year, and that's to come in and learn the NFL game and everything that is different than college football. Everything. New teammates, your relationship, developing a relationship with your offensive linemen, learning the skill set of your receivers, learning a brand new system. And according to all the gurus out there, you know, the NFL system is so much more sophisticated than college. I think probably the biggest adjustment between college and the NFL as far as the system goes is learning how to say the plays that take like 20 seconds to say. That's going to be a big one, a big difference for him, playing for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and now coming into the New York Giants. He's going to be in the big city, the Big Apple, right, with all the media hoopla and all of that scrutiny. It's just going to be a different life for him. Lifestyle, everything is different. Now, he doesn't have that added pressure of being the guy. So he's going to be able to ease into it, compete, and then learn from two veteran quarterbacks in front of him. The other thing that I like for Jackson Dart with the Giants is his quarterback coach, Brian DeBall, has been characterized by a ton of people in the know in the NFL as being a really good and effective QB coach because he's a great teacher. And that's what coaching is teaching. And at that quarterback position, okay, I've said this before in other shows, just because you're an NFL quarterback coach doesn't mean you're a good quarterback coach. And so this guy's highly thought of, and that is going to be a big plus for Jackson Dart. Okay, that leads us finally to the worst situation. And for me, this is a no-brainer. There's no honorable mention here. This is hands down the worst situation. And that goes to Dylan Gabriel going to the Cleveland Browns. And the reason why this is the worst situation is he is going to have to endure the Shedeur Sanders media circus. All the things that I've talked about that NFL quarterbacks have to master as rookies, he's going to have to do that. And then at the same time, he's going to have to deal with the media circus that surrounds Shedeur Sanders. I just think with all of the stuff that's going to be heaped on Dylan Gabriel, not to mention the fact that there are a lot of gurus and media pontificators out there that don't think Dylan Gabriel should have been drafted that high. I disagree with that totally, but he's going to have to listen to that shit too, all throughout training camp and for his rookie year. But having to deal with the Sanders circus, I'll bet at some point in time, the Browns are going to tell the media, hey, Dylan Gabriel's not going to answer any more questions about Shedeur Sanders. I just don't think it's a great situation for Dylan Gabriel. I mean, Cleveland is kind of a unstable organization as it is. The stunt that the owner pulled in drafting Shedeur Sanders kind of says everything you need to know about the Browns. So with Gabriel in Cleveland now, you know, all of the things I said with Jackson Dart and Cam Ward and all the new things that they have to deal with as a rookie quarterback, learning new teammates, new offensive linemen, new receiver skills, learning a new playbook, a new coaching staff, living in a new city, all that stuff, right? And now you've got Gabriel that has to have this Shedeur Sanders thing, that he's got to be part of that environment and that circus every day. It's just not the ideal situation for him. Now, I'm going to say this. At the end of the day, and it's not going to be this year, but at the end of the day with Dylan Gabriel, he's going to be a really solid QB in this league. The guy can play. Now, I've said this forever. He's got the best feet of any quarterback in college football last year, the year before. Great feet. Okay. He played in a really nice quarterback offense at Oregon. He understands the passing game. He's a hell of a leader. And I think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in that he needs to prove that he deserved to be drafted where he was. So I think you're going to see Dylan Gabriel end up being a guy, a pretty solid QB in the NFL. Okay, time's going to tell. Obviously, we'll see what goes down with this. A couple things are true, however. When it comes to quarterbacks, NFL organizations don't do a great job of evaluating quarterbacks on a consistent basis. And once they are evaluated, once they are drafted, once they are signed, a lot of these organizations do a really piss poor job with these rookie quarterbacks, and they end up wrecking a lot of these guys' careers. So we'll see what happens. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments. And this is QB Unfiltered. And remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.